Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. We were discussing for the hypersecretion of the adrenal gland and its hormones. Previously, we discussed hypersecretion of the cortisol, Cushing syndrome, Cushing disease, pseudo-Cushing syndrome. Today, we are going to discuss the other hormones secreted from the adrenal cortex in excess. The remaining two types of hormones are there. One is mineralocorticoids, mainly aldosterone or deoxycortisone, and the other is androgens. These are secreted from the zona reticularis, and the mainly adrenal and the mineralocorticoids are secreted from the glomerulosa, zona glomerulosa. So when we discuss the zona glomerulosa, it secretes mineralocorticoids, and there may be two types of hypersecretion causes, one primary and the other is secondary. In primary causes, there may be microadenoma in the adrenal gland unilaterally, or there may be iatrogenic adrenal hyperplasia IAH, causing the increased secretion of the mineralocorticoids, mainly aldosterone. And there are other causes that may be due to the hypersecretion of the renin from the maybe increased renin secretion from the glomerular apparatus cells, glomerular epithelial cells. If there is increased secretion in the renin values, increased concentration of renin, then it will obviously increase the concentration of the aldosterone. But the mineralocorticoids are very little affected by the ACTH. And other hormones are the androgens that are mainly affected by the congenital adrenal hyperplasia, and these are there are effects from the what we can say is affecting the biosynthesis of the androgen hormones, and mainly these hormones are synthesized in response to the activity of different enzymes. There are mainly four enzymes which affect the biosynthesis of cortisol and aldosterone. First one is the 21 hydroxylase deficiency. Second one is the 11 beta hydroxylase. Third one is the 3 beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase and 17 alpha hydroxylase. These are hormones may be congenitally defected or may be absent and causing the drastic effects on the body of the male or female children. What happens to it? They are involved in the synthesis of the cortisol and the mineral aldosterone. What happens to that? The synthesis of cortisol or aldosterone may be defected at different levels because of the deficiency or defect in the structure of these enzymes, further causing the precursors of the hormone cortisol and aldosterone in higher concentrations, which leads to be accumulated. And one thing is very important to be noted, that we know the levels of cortisol is decreased in the absence or defect of these enzymes. So this causes the positive feedback and increased stimulation of the ACTH hormone from the pituitary gland. ACTH is further released, and it causes further accumulation of the precursors of the cortisol and aldosterone, which leads to the formation of the androgens, further formation of the or production of the androgens or other hormones like dihydroandrosterone, androstenedione, testosterone, and in some cases there are estrone and estradiol synthesis. Progesterone synthesis also is there. What happens to the body is that it affects as the androgens are present in excess congenitally, they affect the secondary and primary sexual characteristics. The internal and external genitalia are affected when there is androgen excess in the female baby. That will be ambiguous genitalia. There may be salt wastage, and then it may be life-threatening even when there is no aldosterone. Even cortisol is absent. So cortisol is also having somewhat mineralocorticoid activity. So we will say there is loss of salt, no retention of sodium. So though there is increased concentration of ACTH even, then there will be virilizing effects on the babies, but sometimes there are when in certain cases there is defects in the enzymes, and they have very subtle effect at the birth, and the symptoms are may not be recognized at that time, and maybe that effect appears later when there is puberty. At puberty, the children who are genetically female because of the excess of androgen becomes look like male children, but there is no pubertal changes at that time, and hypogonadism is there. But in case of male children, what happens to the male children when there is excess of androgen? There will be pseudo precocious puberty and the earlier development there, and there are symptoms that are increased hair growth in both male and female, and in females it looks like PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, and then the similarly there will be maybe hirsutism, resembles like hirsutism. So we also, but this is mainly related to the reproduction, and these enzymes may be discussed with reproduction and hormones also. What happens to the mineralocorticoid excess is that increased synthesis of this hormone causes the increased retention of sodium. This retention of sodium causes the increased release of potassium from the body, excretion of the body along with the hydrogen ions, protons. This causes the hypokalemic alkalosis, and obviously there is maybe salt water retention, and for further we can have, and it causes hypertension definitely. This may be due to the primary hyperaldosteronism, due to the secondary hyperaldosteronism. There may be renin secreting tumors. In congenital adrenal hyperplasia, there is increased concentration of these hormone. Cushing syndrome also causes increased concentration of cortisol, which leads to the increased cortisol activity, and cortisol is having a mineralocorticoid activity. So we have to differentiate and make diagnosis of the hormones. We must remember that the aldosterone is also released in episodic form, but it is not as episodic like ACTH or other hormones. It is also increased in higher concentrations when we get up early in the morning, and after sleeping its concentration is decreased. Then we make a diagnosis and measure the level of the potassium, urinary potassium, because it causes hypokalemia. If the volume of the potassium is greater than 30 millimoles per liter, then we will definitely go for the mineralocorticoid excess. But if it is less than 30 millimoles per liter, we must remember that the should go to the hyperaldosteronism, that may be primary or secondary. Then we measure if the level of aldosterone is greater than 30 millimoles per liter, we go measure the plasma-renin activity. Plasma-renin activity is measured after the stimulation tests. There are stimulation or suppression tests used for the measurement of aldosterone and renin. What happens is that we can give captopril. Captopril can inhibit the ACE converting enzymes, ACE angiotensin converting enzyme, and certainly the aldosterone secretion dependent upon the angiotensin 2 is decreased. So this causes the decrease in this. We can give saline infusions for 4 hours in a patient, and it will affect the secretion of the hormones. As the renin and aldosterone are dependent upon the salt intake, values of salt in the body and values of water expansion in the body, salt retention will cause water expansion, and if we give saline, it will also affect the release of the hormones in the body from the from their sites to where they are released, from glomerulosa or from the glomerular epithelium cells. We also can give captopril, saline, and salt that will affect the release of these hormones. So if the concentration of the activity of the the renin enzyme is high, then there will be definitely secondary aldosteronism. But if it is low and there is no stimulation, we must go for measurement of urine aldosterone. What happens to the urine aldosterone? If urinary baseline aldosterone is low and aldosterone is low, then we must know that it is the essential hypertension or deoxycortisone and other hormone is secreted that have mineralocorticoid effects. But if the aldosterone levels are higher, and also the we have seen that after suppression tests like with saline, flurticortisone, captopril, we have given, and primary, and there is no response, and remained high, the aldosterone remained high after measurements, or even we have measured the aldosterone after a supine position. If we must know that the aldosterone concentration remain higher when we sit in upright position. After 2 to 4 hours, the value of the aldosterone is increased in the blood. So if the value of the hormone is increased in the blood after upright position, then we must know that it is the adrenal adenoma. It is hyperplasia. Sorry, if the concentration of the aldosterone is raised in upright position, then this is the iatrogenic adrenal hyperplasia, and if there is no response to the upright position, then it will be the primary adrenal adenoma that is secreting the excess hormone and causing the symptoms like hypertension, hypokalemia, water retention, and metabolic alkalosis. Similarly, there may be carcinoma, renal carcinoma, that is secreting these hormones and causing these symptoms. There may be renal artery stenosis, that is causing this increased hypertension, and urinary sodium excretion is increased. So we must remember, we must go for sodium value, urinary sodium value, and creatinine value is measured for the proper diagnosis, because these are dependent upon the sodium values. If sodium values are higher, aldosterone levels will be, and renin levels will be lower, and vice versa. Similarly, they are affected by other drugs like spironolactone, and they are also affected in case of Liddle and Bartter syndrome. The Liddle syndrome, which is called pseudo hypoaldosteronism, the potassium value is affected in this case, and Bartter syndrome, that is stimulated by prostaglandin and causing sodium wasting, and we have to uh, 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 manage these, but aldosterone concentrations are not affected in these cases. So this is all today for the hyperaldosteronism, which is also called a Cohn's syndrome. Cohn was the scientist who discovered this disease first of all. So, and congenital hyperplasia, and to make the diagnosis for these two diseases. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.